Here we are. It's June Kannico webinar. We are just about halfway through the year, everyone. So, time to start thinking about what your next 6 months are going to look like, what your end of year campaigns are going to look like. Are you going to do something fun for Giving Tuesday this year? I just can't believe it. The time goes so quickly. It really does. Anyway, welcome. It is so great to have everyone here today. This is our June webinar. I am going to share my screen in just a second. We have a really, really great webinar today, and our special guest is going to be giving us all kinds of insight, things that we didn't even know we needed to know. So this will be great. But a little bit about me and us. I know most of you already. You all know that I have a passion for this work. We started these webinars in March of 2020. We used to do them once a week to help everyone stay motivated and positive through COVID. And here we are, 6 years later, still going strong. But we're once a month now, not once a week. So I am a CFRE with AFP. I'm trained by Board Source in board governance, certified in nonprofit management. I'm a certified coach, do a lot of training with Lynn University. I'm also just about to take my final exam for the Chartered Advisor of Philanthropy certification, which I'm very excited about and has been so helpful. I'm going to start sharing bits of information that I've learned about planned giving, about just donor intent, what our donors are thinking about as they get to this stage of really exploring their philanthropic options and planned giving towards the end of their lives. And of course, you all know Kannico. We are here to support organizations that are getting formed and filing for 501(c)(3). We've also done a number of reinstatements. So if anyone's been revoked, we can be very helpful with that. We have management or fractional monthly services, organizational audits and governance reviews, board and leadership training, strategic planning, and then, of course, our very strong commitment to the community through these webinars. All right, so I would like to tell you about our guest today, Erin.mastrantonio. So, Erin is the COO of Elevation, which is a digital marketing agency dedicated to helping nonprofits grow their impact online. Over the past 7 years, she has reviewed thousands of nonprofit websites, identifying the patterns that cause organizations to lose donors and the practical, low lift changes that can help to bring them back. With a background in the hard sciences and engineering, Erin brings a rigorous, data backed approach to every recommendation she makes, cutting through the noise to show nonprofits what actually moves the needle on engagement, accessibility, and conversion. Erin, welcome. So happy to have you with us. Even your intro, your bio is intriguing. So, you all, I took a very brief look at her presentation. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. So, I think we really, really are in for a treat today. Just a little housekeeping note. As always, we're going to try and answer some questions as we go. Erin's aware that we'd like to do this if it's a question that's very relevant to that particular topic that she's on or that slide that she's on. But if we start to get a little bit slowed down because there is quite a bit that she'd like to cover, we may have to save some of them for the end. So if you have a question, please put it in the chat. You can start with, you could just say question maybe at the beginning so I can pick up on it. I'll be scanning the chat. And then the other thing is, please introduce yourselves to each other and to us. Please share your name and organization in the chat so we know who you are. I'd love to know where you are geographically as well. But it would be great if you could do that. And that way also you all can maybe keep an eye out for people in the same geographic region or maybe an organization that could partner with you. So if you could just take a moment to do that in the chat, that would be great. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to you, Erin. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Kirsten, for that lovely introduction. And it's really great to be invited here for the first time. I hope it's the first of more. I love to speak to people who have dedicated their lives to serving their communities. So it's really an honor to be here. So I'm going to call up my presentation and we'll just get this rolling. Um, okay, so Kirsten already did a great job talking about elevation and what we do, but just 30 seconds here. So we are a digital marketing agency. We exclusively work with nonprofit clientele. We are coming up on 20 years of operation, which is crazy. We're founded in 2007, and at this point, we have about 800 successful website redesigns under our belt for nonprofits across every service area. So basically what we exist to do is to help mission-driven organizations like you grow your reach and, importantly, retain your donors. And that's what I'm here to talk about today. As Kirsten said, I have personally reviewed thousands of nonprofit websites, and I get exposed to about 20 new websites per week. So everything I'm sharing with you today comes from seeing patterns play out hundreds of times across these sectors. So what I'm doing today is, what I'm attempting to do is to give you very practical advice. There's no theory here that you cannot implement today. And I will leave you with the promised 5 steps, the checklist, and then the 5 quick fixes. So hopefully by the end of the hour, you will have a better understanding why your website may be leaking donors and practically how to plug that. So let me show you what we're going to cover in more detail. We're going to start with why your website is losing engagement. So that's the diagnosis. Then I'll move into quick wins that you can ship this week, and then talk about accessibility a little bit as a growth strategy, making sure we're not leaving behind any folks with disabilities, and then end with where AI fits into all of this. I'm probably biting off more than I can chew. So apologies if I speak a little fast, but let's dive right into this with the diagnosis. So why are nonprofit sites quietly underperforming? Most of the nonprofit sites that I evaluate in the course of my job look fine. They're pretty. But most of them have lurking inefficiencies and issues. Um, so they're passing the eye test, but not the donor test. And there's a couple of stats I'd like to share that kind of frames this problem, like the what. We will get into the why in the next slide. But over half of people who come to your donate page, we know that they are leaving without giving. This is a pretty sobering statistic, up to 70%. We also know that over half, 53%, leave because the page doesn't load fast enough. So officially, Google says it should load in 2.5 seconds or less. And most homepages load in over 3 seconds. I see 4 to 5 seconds as super common. And then down here, the friction. So I'm going to use this word friction a lot today. And I first got introduced to this word by a friend of mine who worked at Google, and he used it all the time. And I asked him one day, like, what do you mean? Google bases everything they do around frictionless experiences. And I think this is one of those areas where a nonprofit can steal from the for-profit space very effectively. We should be designing frictionless website flows. I'm going to get into more what causes friction, but just to give you a few quick previews, things like a calendar that's empty or outdated, a page that is slow to load, right? That's friction. That's it's making it hard for your users. Maybe your mission statement is a little abstract and flowery and nobody really knows what it means. There isn't one smoking gun here. It's really a case of death by 1,000 paper cuts. It's a lot of little things that compound and build up into driving donors away. The good news is that there are root causes that I see every single time. Every single time a website is losing donors, and by the time people come to me, they're usually leaking them like a sieve. I see at least one of these, if not all of them. And reason number one would be clarity. So basically, a user has about 5 seconds to figure out what you do, who you help, and why their gift matters. If you can't answer this in the first 5 seconds, then you're going to lose interest. And most homepages will fail this test above the fold before the first scroll. Then we have friction again. So even when someone wants to give, you make it hard to give or to convert, whatever kind of conversion we're talking about. So maybe we have too many fields in our donate form. Maybe we have too many redirects away from the website. Maybe we are presenting too few payment options. So those would be friction. And then finally, the big one, we have trust. So in every interaction, humans are skeptical by nature. We all are. Any kind of new relationship we get into, we're always wondering, like, are you trying to take advantage of me? Right? This is the question that's running in the back of our mind. Like, what do you want from me? And in order for people to open their wallets and share their hard-earned cash, they need to trust you. And what they're looking for, what donors are looking for, are trust signals. Things that count as trust signals would be things like stories, real photos, not stock photos. With few exceptions, there are some exceptions, of course. We want to protect the identities of victims of various things, but in general, we want as many real photos as we can. We want to give actual numbers and statistics, right? Hard numbers. This proves that your organization is alive and that you are effective. So in 10 out of 10 websites I look at, there's one of these three lurking and sometimes more than one. Let's get specific about how each of these show up. So I'm going to start with the most common mistakes that I see. I don't know if you've ever heard of Google's Core Web Vitals, and I promise not to get technical, but the long and the short of it is Core Web Vitals are the most important metrics that define the performance of a website. And what we know is that less than half of pages on the internet pass Google's Core Web Vitals, about 48%. The biggest offender is almost always a huge hero image. What's the hero? It's that thing that you see at the top of the page that is full width, that usually sits behind the text. It's that big banner. And what people will do is they'll upload a 4 megabyte photo straight from a phone, because phones have very high resolution these days. And now, if you do that, everyone visiting on a mobile phone or a desktop has to wait 4, 5, 6 seconds for that to load. So this is the top performance issue on the web. Just as a rule of thumb, a reasonably sized hero image should be 500 kilobytes max, never in the megabyte range. If you're talking about a hero image, 500 kilobytes is okay. Any other image, it should really be like max 200 kilobytes. There are free compression tools online. There's something called Tiny PNG. That is a free tool. There's others. That's the one I personally use. And so this is really easy to fix, just compressing your images. We also have the dynamic content issue. Now that's something that lurks in the background, but if your blog hasn't been touched since 2022, if your calendar is empty, if your news section is basically a board meeting minutes from 2023, donors are going to think you're closed. And so one pro tip here is that an empty calendar is worse than no calendar at all. If you can't keep an element active, I would rather that you take it down. All right, so those are some top performance related issues. Let's dig into the three categories of mistakes, and let's start with messaging.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Tell me about a hero image versus video. Is a video also too large?
Yeah, so a video, people who choose to have video, they are making a bit of a compromise in page loading speed, but there are ways to have efficient videos. It's
Oh,
not that you can never have a video.
okay.
What you'd want to do is have a video that is optimized for the resolution of the web.
Mhm.
You want to make it no more than maybe a 10 or 15-second clip that loops, right?
Yep.
So that is a good way to make it look continuous, but not use up
Hmm.
a lot of space.
Hmm.
Um,
Excellent.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wonderful question. All right. Um, so with messaging, I wanted to present a few real mission statements that I have seen, and read them aloud to yourself. Notice that you can't tell what any of these organizations actually do. So at the top here, this sounds lovely: to ensure every person in our community has the opportunity to thrive. Okay. To provide for the safety and well-being of fill in the blank city. Okay, how? Working towards brighter futures, right? Nice and concise, a nice tagline, but really doesn't say, it doesn't answer basic questions. One thing to know about mission-driven people, and you are all in this boat, is that we are passionate spokespeople. And that is exactly why this happens. We get so close to our work that we talk in abstractions. We assume that visitors know what we mean. They do not. So basically, the donor needs three things in the first 5 minutes. Sorry, the first 5 seconds. They need to know what you do. They need to know who you help, the actual population, get specific. And they need to know why that matters. So you need to name the population, you need to name the key action you take to help. Um, so on the next slide, I have a good example of what this looks like in practice. But the punchline here is that if your homepage hero could be your competitor's homepage hero with no edits, it is too vague, right? So let's keep going. So conversion friction. So this is the second mistake pattern. Friction. Again, I'm coming back to this. This stat is sobering. 120% conversion lift just by cutting your donation form fields from 11 down to 4. I know this math is brutal, but every field you add to your donate form costs you donors. What a donate form actually needs is name, first and last, email address, so you can send a confirmation and a receipt, and payment info. Nothing else is needed. Job titles, phone numbers, demographic surveys, a newsletter sign up checkbox. None of that is needed. And we don't want to place friction in the way of someone making the donation. Remember, once they make the donation, we have an opportunity to send them an email confirmation. Maybe there's some questions we want to ask there about demographics. And maybe we want to prompt them in the thank you page to sign up for our newsletter, but get that donation first, right? So some common friction patterns that I see, people asking for the payment method before you even ask for the amount. We don't want to make people think. The moment when people are the most generous is the moment they have been inspired by whatever they just read that caused them to want to donate. If you throw a lot of logistical hurdles in their way, that donation amount may subconsciously go down, right? Because you're giving them problems to solve. Asking which fundraising drive they want to allocate their money to, and then giving them 12 drop-down options for that. Just pick a default and let donors change it if they care. You want that money going into your general fund, by the way, so that you get to decide how to allocate it. But if it's, if there's a special thing, a special fundraising drive, you give them the option, but don't make it mandatory. Now, I want to talk about something else with donation friction, which is what I call the pop-up ambush. So this is a donate prompt before someone even reads your mission. I see this all the time. I'll go to somebody's website and immediately I'll be prompted to donate. And it's like, whoa, I don't even know what your mission is yet. Okay. This feels presumptuous. It
Mhm.
feels disrespectful at worst, presumptuous at best. So I recommend that we just stop doing this. Good information design prevents the need to do that anyway. Um, then things like redirecting, right?
Mm.
Sometimes it's necessary because we have a donor CRM. They don't allow us to embed the donate form. Okay. But if we are redirecting out when we could be embedding that form, just know that every redirect is creating friction that creates a chance to lose that donor. You want to keep that form on your domain. You want to keep that traffic on your domain. That's good for your SEO and it's good for your donation flows. Also, you want to give digital wallet options, Apple Pay, Google Pay. If you add digital wallet options for donations, this gives a 2 to 3% lift just by being available. That is a free conversion lift you have to take. Because why? Because it's easy. People don't have to put in their credit card information. It's already there. They don't have to put in their address. It's already there. They've pre-filled that. It's a
Mm.
one button click, right? And so I want to build on this idea of ease by talking about a little bit of a case study. I'm going to take a brief detour here because the best playbook on reducing friction did not come from the nonprofit world. It came from a pizza chain. And it is, stick with me now, it is one of the most important case studies in modern marketing. And there is a metric in here that you will want to write down. So let's talk about Domino's Pizza. Who has ordered a pizza from Domino's Pizza? Probably all of us. Okay. Um, and I know this seems like it has nothing to do with nonprofits, but I want every leader here on this call to look up the Domino's Pizza ebook after we get off this call. Quick backstory. So in 2008, Domino's Pizza was the number two pizza chain. They were battling it out with Pizza Hut. Um, but their pizza sucked and they knew it. They were competing with like Chuck E. Cheese on taste and texture, and everyone was making fun of them online. They were dead last in the taste ratings. Their product was considered mediocre. They were losing major market share to like Papa John's, local chains. And they had a choice. They could spend years and millions of dollars reformulating the pizza, or they could attack the other part of the experience, which is the friction of ordering, waiting, and being delivered to. So they chose both ultimately, but they led with the friction piece because they knew that that was the bigger win. They got a very smart new CEO that came in, and he did three things. He created the pizza tracker. This is a real-time order tracking. It is the thing that inspired all real-time order tracking that came after. When you see your Uber car's progress towards picking you up, that was inspired by the pizza tracker. Before this, you ordered a pizza and you waited. Was it being made? Was the driver late? Customers would get anxious. The tracker showed you the exact stage the pizza was in. So the order was received, it would get prepped, it would get baked, it would get quality checked, and then it would get out for delivery. And customers got to see all of those stages. So transparency became trust. Transparency is important for nonprofits, obviously. We always want to be as transparent as possible, especially on how we are spending donor money, right? So that's one thing. The other thing is more data, more transparency puts the user in the driver's seat. They feel like they have more control. They feel less anxious. And that's true too. If we are transparent about how we're spending money, how money goes towards impact and quantify it, that makes people feel like, oh, they have a little bit more agency, they have more control. And people like to know how their money is getting spent always. Then the pizza profile. So this is one tap convenience. This is pure ease, right? So you like sausage and pepper pizza, you can save that to your profile, and the next time you go to order it, you can just click one button. They even had it so you could go to Twitter and put a smile face emoji on the Domino's pizza page, and your favorite pizza for your pizza profile would show up within 30 minutes. So what they did there was they optimized around ease, and ease has to do with friction. So there's this thing. You guys have probably all heard of NPS, Net Promoter Score. Net Promoter Score is how marketers predict retention. It's a score from 1 to 7. You go to a website and people say, how likely are you to recommend this product or service to a friend or family member? And that was the gold standard for many, many years until we got a better metric called customer effort score. And I want you to write this down. It's referred to as CES. And the question there is, how easy was it to get what you were after? And this turns out to be a much better predictor of retention. So I want to share this strategy from the for-profit space. Nonprofits should steal this and they should steal it all day. How can we make our donation experience easier? How can we make our event registration experience easier? How can we make signing up to volunteer easier? If you really look, you'll probably find that there's friction in all of these flows, right? So that's the big takeaway here. If you take nothing else away from what I said today, please take that away. And then finally, radical honesty. The CEO actually said, look, our pizza sucks, and they created a whole campaign around it. You don't have to go out, I'm not saying you should go out and say our services suck. But what I'm saying is radical honesty really works. It builds trust. If you tell somebody something that doesn't always paint you in this positive, flowery light, if you say, hey, here's where we could do better, then people will trust that, and they will start to reward you with that trust with more donations. Okay, Um,
I have a question.
so yeah, go ahead.
So on that page of inputting information, we went from 11 fields to four.
Yes.
Are there not credit cards that require that you put in a complete address?
Yeah, there are. And so yeah, credit card information, like putting in payment information has multiple fields associated with
Okay.
it.
So
Um,
you're saying outside of that.
yeah, outside of, I'm counting like,
Okay.
you know, that's one thing you're asking for, but it really is like five or six things buried within the one thing.
Hmm.
And it takes a long time. It takes a long time to
Hmm.
write down, this is why we have scan your credit card option now. But digital wallets are powerful basically because they skip over all of that. That's all been pre-entered. It's a one-click thing. You do a Face ID to confirm and you're done. People sit around thinking, why are we not getting enough young donors? Not realizing like, oh, young donors use digital wallets. They don't write
Right.
checks. Right. They don't have the patience anymore to type out
Yeah.
every digit of their credit card.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. And is Google Pay, I know Apple Pay because I have it on my phone, which I only recently set up. Is Google Pay just as easy though? Is it just attached to a credit card or a bank account or something? Okay.
Same thing. Same thing.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay. Great.
Okay. All right. So moving on from the Domino's pizza example, I want to talk about the final mistake pattern, which is trust gaps, which is when your website looks abandoned. So, so let's talk first about this rule of seven. You may or may not have heard of this, but this is a sobering rule, and it really is true. Very few people are aware of it. It's a counterintuitive truth in nonprofit fundraising. And most board members and executive directors think people land on a website. If they like what they see, they donate. If they don't, then they don't. That is not how it works. Basically, how it really works is that a new donor needs seven, approximately on average, meaningful positive interactions before they're ready to give. So, what counts towards this? Email opens, social shares, event attendance, blog reads, a volunteer shift. They all count. The website is the relationship hub where those interactions become possible. And this is where the empty calendar or the dormant blog issue is huge. People think, oh, we just don't have time to keep that updated. They think that's a neutral choice. It is not. It is actually actively telling visitors that the lights are off, nobody's home. If you came to my house for dinner and the kitchen was dark and the refrigerator was empty, you'd assume nobody lives here. So it's the same with your website. Um, all right, so I framed the problem now. I promise solutions. Let's get into the playbook. All right. I want to give you some quick wins you can ship this week. Most of these, no developers needed at all. I would like to I'd like to spend about the next 10 minutes going deeper on each of these, but I picked these five because they are the highest leverage, lowest effort changes I see that move the needle in website redesigns. Each one can be done in less than a day, mostly just by editing content or flipping a setting in your existing tools. I challenge you to write down which one feels most urgent for your site and let this become your action item for today. So let's start with the highest leverage one of all, which is clarifying your message. Okay, I want to give you another example. I promised I would give you an example of a rewritten mission. So let's look at the message that you're giving your users above the fold. And this is what I see too often on the left. Empowering communities through transformative programming and strategic partnerships. Your donors are not going to have any idea what you actually do from that. But if you say, we provide free legal aid to immigrant families in Cleveland each year so families stay together, right? So that statement is powerful because it follows a formula. The formula is we verb to population so that outcome. So that's it. If you can't fill in that formula about your own work, you don't just have a copy problem, you have a strategy problem. But there's usually multiple ways to fill in that formula. I want you to generate at least 10 of them. We fill in the blank, verb to population, so that outcome. Now, um, that's a pretty easy win, right? Everybody can go home and do that. You can do that today. So ask yourself, does your mission statement sound more like the before or the after? All right, next win. This is another big misconception in nonprofit web copy. It's that we need to explain everything thoroughly. Well, eventually, but not on the homepage. On the homepage, people don't read every word. They really don't. They read about 20% of the words. They skim. They are willing to read every word on pages that they've clicked into for a specific reason. So if they drill down, let's say like there's a specific thing they came there for, and it wasn't everything you put on your homepage, it was something more specific. So not only do we have that stat, right? 20% of a homepage gets read, but we also have these literacy stats, which are sobering and kind of heartbreaking every time I present them. 54% of US adults read below a sixth grade level, okay? And 21% are functionally illiterate. So it is not condescension to lower the reading level on your website. It is reality, it is access. You need to write so that a smart 11-year-old could understand you. I know that sounds crazy. Um, there is a free tool that can help with this. It's called Hemingway app, and it is the single best free tool that I know of. Of course, if you pay for ChatGPT or you pay for Claude or something, use that as well. It's all the same thing under the hood. It's all AI. But what Hemingway app will do is it will do something Claude and the other engines don't do. It will highlight complex sentences. It will highlight places where you've used overly complex vocabulary. Any time where the grade level is too high, it will give you a running grade level in the sidebar. I learned of it because our content strategist recommended it over and over. So aim for grades 6 to 8. I know that seems low, but if it's for a general audience, you want to aim for 6 to 8. If you have worked up personas for your website, which I hope you all have, if you haven't, go ahead and do that. But there are specific parts of your website that get targeted to different personas. And if they have a different reading level, go ahead and write for that reading level. But on a homepage, you have to assume everyone and their mom is going to read that, and you don't know, right? So you have to assume general audience. Another really simple thing, make the text large enough to read. Don't make people squint. I go to too many websites where I have an assistive device called glasses that I wear, and I still have to, I have to zoom in. Body text 12-point minimum, better to make it 14-point. The more concise you can be with your content, the bigger you can make it, and that's better for everybody. It's more accessible, it's just easier to digest. If your designer pushes back on this, push back harder. You do not want anyone squinting at your homepage, okay? Next, there's this thing called Jacob's Law that says users spend the majority of their time on other people's websites, and they expect yours to work like the ones they already use. So websites that people use every day, Amazon, Wikipedia, Reddit, Facebook, like these are the big ones. If you try to break the mold with so-called creative navigation or an immersive experience, this is one of the most expensive mistakes that you can make. You actually don't want to stand out for certain things. You want to stand out for your mission. You want to stand out for your service. You don't want to stand out for bucking trends that people have come to expect, these conventions. So what am I talking about? Your donate button. Don't put that in the lower left, right? You want to put that in the upper right where people know to look for it. It should be bold. It should be in a different color. It should be on a thing that looks like a button. It should be fun to click, right? It should be enticing to click. So it should be a different color than everything else. And it should not just be text. So the logo, put this at the top, make it a link to your homepage. If people click the logo, they generally think, okay, I'm going home now, I'm clicking the logo. So you want to link that. For your navigation, don't use internal acronyms in your menu. CDC to you might mean Community Development Corporation. but visitors think Centers for Disease Control. Okay, so we want to use plain language always, and not internal speak, not the way you'd speak to your own employees. Icons, we want to use them intentionally and consistently. The same icon should always mean the same thing. So if you pair an icon with a specific grouping of information, now it's a wayfinding device. It's not just a random little icon you slapped on. If you pair that icon with a specific color, that's even clearer. For people with cognitive disabilities, learning disabilities, this is huge. Attention deficit disorders, just that same experience you get when you're driving down the highway and you know, like when you see a green sign, that means directions. And when you see a blue sign, that means rest stop. Or you see a brown sign and that means recreational area. Like we do that all the time. We can do that on our websites too. Um, so we want to stand out with our story. We don't want to stand out with our menu placement. Don't try to break the mold. Um, Next quick win, we're going to talk about the donate flow itself. I'm getting right into the heart of it. Go ahead,
I just
Kirsten.
want to say how helpful that all is because
Oh,
we're always thinking, oh, but maybe we should be different. Maybe we should, or we get a very excited web designer who has wonderful, fun ideas. We're going to rename blog, we're going to call it something else. And so this is incredibly validating, whether you're a for-profit or a nonprofit. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
oh, well, wonderful. I'm glad that that's landing for you. Um, all right, so rocking and rolling. We're going to get right into the heart of this with the donate flow. Um, all right, so more statistics because I'm data driven, as Kirsten said. Um, so 53% of nonprofit traffic is now on mobile, right? So people think of it as coming from desktop. More than half is now on mobile. Google has been talking about mobile first for years and years. Now it's really real. It used to be that most nonprofit traffic would come from desktop, and I've seen this change over the years. It really is truly, it is now tipped the other way. So if your donate form is not thumb friendly, you are throwing away half your donors. Um, I mentioned about digital wallets, Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo. Venmo is gigantic for mobile conversion. All of these, though, eliminate the typing. So, like I said before, a donor presses a button, they confirm with a Face ID, they're done in 5 seconds. Increasingly, if you want younger donors, that's the only way they're willing to donate. And we know that only 24% of nonprofits even offer Venmo as a payment option. So that is a competitive edge sitting on the table for all of you to grab. Um, if you are still telling people, mail a check to P.O. Box 123 as the only donation method, just know that that is killing the majority of your donations. If your donate platform doesn't support digital wallets, it is time to switch. You can use tools like there's a million tools, Give Butter, Fundraise Up, Donor Box, Bloomerang. All of these support all the modern payment methods. So I would recommend looking into that as a real game changer. Um, you add 32% conversion just by adding a PayPal option to your donate page. And also for Apple Pay specifically, yeah, it's less than half they're offering Apple Pay. Um, so interesting, right? Interesting statistics. Now, as I mentioned before, we do want to keep the form right on our domain. Ask for the amount first when people are feeling most generous, most inspired. If you need to ask them anything else, you can do that later. If you have a lot of fields, you can break that up into a multi-step form. Don't present a wall of fields to fill out, maybe 2 or 3 at a time, okay? Chunking, right? Like that's something that we use a lot in marketing and in psychology to help people digest information. Um, Add trust signals to your donate page, add testimonials if you have them. That's the place to put them. Add your impact stats, not just on your homepage, put them on your donate page. Going to a donation page that only has a donate form on it and nothing else feels so cold and transactional. Let's not do that. Let's put in a video, like an impact video. Let's put in your rating and transparency seals from Candid and GuideStar, right? Like actually, let's have those in your footer so people can always see them. But let's like emphasize any trust signals you have. the donate page is the place to put them, and make it so that there's more text than just, the labels on the fields to fill out. Make it a human interaction, right? Okay.
That's really interesting. I'd never heard about that before, the trust signals being on the donate page, but it makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And most people don't think about it, because if
No.
you go, this is one area where I would say don't copy
Mm.
what the neighbors are doing. If you go to a website and you see just a donate page, just a form on a donate page, don't copy that. Yeah. If you
And
see what, yeah, go ahead.
so connected to that, some of the, and I don't know, I don't speak website, but I know that there are nonprofit donate pages where literally the organization is just using either what's already there or have not embedded a page or a form that is more user friendly, more attractive, and would probably allow for you to maybe do some testimonials or some impact stats or put those seals on there.
Mhm.
So I think that that's something that needs to be considered. And I believe most of the CRMs have a way to incorporate a page that's an attractive donate page, right?
Yeah, most of them do. I mean, most of the CRMs offer you a form to embed as an
Right.
iframe. And then
Okay.
it's up to you, if you're whether you're using WordPress, whether you're using Squarespace, whatever it is. The rest of the page is just a regular page for you to present content on,
Got
like you would on any other
got
page.
it. Okay.
So, put something at the top that isn't the beginning of the form. You don't want to push the form too far down, because when people are
Okay.
ready to donate, you want to
Uh-huh.
let them do that. But a little introduction, like, I love seeing $10 has
Hmm.
this impact. $20 has this impact. Make
Mm,
people understand that, like, no matter what amount they give, they don't have to give hundreds of dollars. Like, a $10 donation will do something tangible in the world, and point out what that is. A
mhm.
series of impact statements for different amounts is super, super powerful. Um,
Okay.
People have guilt. They're not sure. They're like, well, how,
Right.
how much should I donate to actually make a difference to this cause?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so just reduce that friction. Um,
Okay. A couple of quick questions for you.
yeah.
If we have a website that we are working on that has not been launched, this is from Evelyn Daniel. Can Elevation help with that project to correct errors and help launch a strong website?
1,000%. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so Evelyn, we on one of my slides we have Erin's. We'll put her email address in the chat in a moment, and then it's on a slide that I have later on as well. So
Yeah.
please feel free to reach out to her. And then Denise is asking. She says there's no form on their webpage. The donate button for their nonprofit goes right into PayPal. The web page is only one page hosted on the Park System website. Should some of the recommended items be on the web page?
Um, yes. So I
They're
mean, if you have
using
it
PayPal, but they have no form, no
right,
actual form.
right. Well, it's just so for example, like on a WordPress website, which is like powering 40% of the web right now, you
Mm.
can have a form builder tool like Gravity Forms that
Mhm.
links up. All the major form builder tools allow you to integrate your PayPal account, right? So
Okay.
they'll make so most people redirect when they use PayPal as a payment processor.
Mm. Hmm.
But you can just integrate PayPal into a form that you built, and you get to
Mm.
design, and you get to control how it looks, and you get to control where it goes, and it's right on your domain.
Right.
That's how we do it at Elevation.
Okay. Okay.
That's how I
So
recommend.
there are ways to navigate all of this. Okay.
Yes.
Great. Great.
Yes. All right. All right. So let's keep going with the engagement ladder. This is another really quick win. Remember I said, rule of seven, we need to give people as many meaningful ways to engage with you as possible. It's not just a binary choice. It's not just donate or leave. Here's a bunch of intermediate, low lift things that you can give to people that like what you do, but maybe they're not ready to open their wallet yet, but later they would be. Subscribe to a newsletter, follow a social media channel, read a blog story, share their own story. That's a super good one. Attend an event, sign a pledge, volunteer, and then maybe donate.
Mhm.
So this is what we call a marketing funnel, right? In marketing speak, we call this a funnel. But at the top of the funnel, we put low lift actions that are very low friction. And then it's like when you're in a relationship. Actually, I propose that you think of donor cultivation like dating. So you don't propose on the first date, you build a relationship through small positive interactions. The engagement ladder gives potential donors low stakes way to engage when they're not ready to give yet, right? Each rung matters because each one is a positive interaction. So every interaction has to be positive, by the way. Um,
Mm,
and like, remember, you can turn one interaction into two by saying thank you, right? They interact with you, you throw it back and you give them a warm, personalized response. Not all of these touch points are created equal. If they're
mhm,
the more personal they are, the better. Don't
mhm.
use AI for that, for those little notes of thank you. Um, but you can get to the seven, right? Just by saying thank you.
Right.
Another thing too is practical advice here. Don't make donate the only call to action on your homepage. Every homepage should have a secondary call to action besides donate. The newsletter sign up is the easiest one. You usually find that in a footer. But um, but yeah, I would say start with newsletter sign up. But there's
Mhm,
usually a secondary thing. Um,
mhm.
Things to remember here, a compelling story is the fastest way to earn a donation. Usually when I donate, it's because I read a story that just super resonated with me. It just landed hard. Um, right? So tell stories.
Mm,
People talk about storyteller marketing. It's really true. Stories are usually like the thing that will cause a person to finally say, oh, okay,
yeah.
I got it now. Um, Skip that homepage donate pop-up on arrival. Um, yeah, just skip right over that.
We have a question, Erin, regarding the stories. Liz says we've never had any success getting someone to share their own story, website in particular. We get some on socials. Is there a prompt that works well? Liz, are you saying to have people provide their story through the website or through socials, or is this because typically you would gather stories offline, right? And maybe uh, whatever permissions you have to share, maybe their first name or not, you make it anonymous. But when you say a prompt, are you can you explain, Liz? Or maybe you
Yeah,
can just
like, well, she just said, tell a story or get them to share their own story. And it's like we don't,
oh, I see. Get the
you
donors
know,
to
yeah,
reciprocate with
get
a
yeah.
story. Mm.
hmm
Yeah,
And we just have never been able to do that, particularly on the website. Sometimes on the socials, but even there, it's very infrequent.
Do you have any tricks for that, Erin, to get
yeah,
people
the
to open
trick
up
is
more?
to make the ask closer to the act. So if you make the ask for a testimonial close to the act of helping someone, they're more willing to give it. It's less friction to give it. You're right there. You just delivered someone food or you just provided someone shelter for the night. Like, it make the ask for a test, how did this help you? Um, for donor impact, yeah, make the ask in the email you send out confirming, like what prompted you, what inspired you to donate. If you make the ask too late, then people don't really remember where they were mentally. We're so distracted. People don't go back.
Mm.
So like you want to get people closer to the act. And it's really hard. I empathize with you because most people, even when they are delighted by you, they're not going to take the time because people just are short on time these days. It doesn't mean that they're not delighted by you. I would say just don't get discouraged when it's difficult.
Mhm.
But keep trying to make that ask closer and closer to the actual act of donating or receiving help.
Okay.
Um, all
Interesting.
right. And yeah, Liz, keep at it. You'll get there. Accessibility, I don't have time to really, I mean, this is kind of my baby. I don't have time to go super deep into this, but here's the takeaways. When I say accessibility to most nonprofit leaders, they hear compliance. And that framing is killing your willingness to engage in it and killing your results. So the reframe here is that accessibility equals audience expansion for everybody. We know that about a third of US adults, 70 million people, have a reported disability. We know that that is an underestimate because not everyone goes to the doctor. It's partially dependent on socioeconomic status. We know that it's also some conditions are stigmatized and people don't want to talk about them. Anytime we talk about a disability statistic, it is an underestimate. But your entire donor class, it is probably, we're talking about the 45 to 65 plus demographic. These are people that experience conditions that impact on their daily living. And if your site can't serve them, you have excluded a quarter of your potential audience. And a lot of them are donors. There's a lot of age-related conditions that will dog people. Globally, we know that it's 1 in 6 people that have a reported disability. So this is not a niche concern. When you think about accessibility, I want you to think that improvements in this area help everyone. It's about universal inclusive design. It's not just about designing for disabled people. Better contrast helps your phone in the sunlight. Captions help us when we're at the gym. Clear forms help everyone who is in a hurry, and we're all in a hurry. There is an SEO and an AI bonus here, which is that accessible sites use clean semantic HTML, which is exactly what Google and AI engines need to index and cite you. So accessibility really compounds. So there are some fixes here. And the first 3 in the upper left here are things that you don't need a developer for. Adding alt text to your images, adding descriptive link text, fixing your contrast. So when I say alt text, I mean describe the meaning, not the pixels. Say a mother and daughter receive a free nutritious meal at our, I don't know, Feeding Families event in Pittsburgh. Describe the meaning. Don't write image of or picture of. The screen reader already announces it as an image. You don't need to waste characters on that. Not every pixel is equal, right? If it's a decorative only image, no one cares. Okay, we want to skip over it. A blind person doesn't need to hear textured blue background. They don't need that description. And they're trying to skim and scan like the rest of us, so we don't want to waste their time. I'm sorry, did someone have a question there? No? Okay. Okay, contrast.
Erin, you muted yourself.
Sorry, that was me by accident. I was trying to mute
I'm back.
Sorry about that. I was trying to mute the background noise. Go ahead, Erin.
Okay, sure. So yeah, text contrast needs to be 4.5 to 1, foreground to background. So what that means is the brightness of the pixels in the foreground need to be 4.5 times the brightness of the pixels in the background. If it's not that, no one can read it. There's a free contrast checker called Color Contrast Analyzer. I have it down in the bottom here. Please download that. It takes
I
30
love all
seconds.
your free tools. I love this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Free. Yes, and then for link text, people using screen readers, when they navigate a website, first of all, they don't see it, they hear it, and they navigate it by the links alone. So if they're hearing click here, read more, learn more, they have no idea what they're clicking on. Make your link text descriptive. If it had to stand alone, could people understand what they're clicking on? That is the golden question. And then use descriptive labels everywhere. And that'll get you far. I need to move on because I still have several more to go here, and I only have 5 minutes. The biggest win you can do in accessibility is to name an accessibility advocate. This is a person in-house who will take requests for accommodation. You don't have to have special training. You don't need to be an expert. You just have to care. So if someone writes in and says, I'm having trouble filling out your donate form, can you help me? I will give you the information over the phone. Can you type it in? Right? The easy work. Like have someone take those requests, put them in a spreadsheet so you can track what they are. It is the single biggest piece of governance you can do and due diligence that if an opportunistic lawyer does approach your nonprofit with a frivolous lawsuit, you can say, hey, like we have an advocate, we have someone to contact if there's a barrier, we've listened to these people, we have documented it. Like that alone is going to protect you more than anything else. Even if you have errors on the website itself, it's going to protect you more than anything to have an advocate. Ask people with disabilities to use your site and report back what their experiences are. If you watch them while they use it, you'll probably be horrified, but you'll also find things to fix. And just remember, 25 to 30% audience expansion when you stop excluding disabled users. It's a really big deal. I'm going to finish on the AI note. It is not optional. I am sorry, but there's certain jobs we should not be using it for and certain jobs that we should. There's a million ways to use it that are beneficial to a modern nonprofit. Some stats, because I like to give stats. 20 to 35% of information searches now happen in AI answer engines. People used to go to Google and Bing. Now it's increasingly people are going to Claude, they're going to ChatGPT, they're going to Perplexity. If you're not structuring your website in a certain way, you will not get cited there. You will not show up there. There's an acronym EEAT: experience, expertise, authority, trust. This is what matters to AI. You have to put everything I've talked about today. They're looking for expert, data-backed answers to questions that are recent. So they have a date, they're dated. And I don't mean as an outdated. I mean, there's a date on all of your content and it is recent. It is within the past few months. That's what AI likes. That's what AI loves to cite. So where I recommend you use AI, first drafts of your page copy, of your blog posts, social campaigns. First drafts of copy is fine. Doing keyword research, it shines. Like, hey, here's my mission statement. Give me 200 long tail phrasal match keywords I can use in my Google Ad Grant campaigns. Done in 2 minutes. Content optimization for those campaigns. Your marketing strategy, it's amazing at market research. Ideating blog topics, ideating campaign ideas for social, and then writing them, writing the first drafts, doing competitor research, helping you understand how you differentiate yourself in the marketplace and for all other similar organizations in your service area. You want to have a unique value proposition. Claude will tell you where you're overlapping too many. And then you can use it to catch accessibility violations. About 35% of them can be caught with AI in a robust way. The rest of them have to be looked at by a human. So where I would not use AI is in writing alt text. AI cannot determine which pixels have more meaning than others. So don't use it for your alt text. Learn how to write good alt text. It's pretty simple. If you want to learn, reach out to me. I'll teach you how to do it in 5 minutes. Thank you notes to donors and volunteers. People can sniff from a mile away when something was written by AI, especially when it's in a thank you note. That feels really disingenuous. So I would never do that. And then like any text that is not edited by a human, I would never ever use AI and not edit the draft by a human. So that's where I would use it and where I would not use it. Do not use AI to replace getting your stakeholders together and talking about your business strategy. It doesn't understand your background. It doesn't understand your theory of change. This is why agencies like Kannico are valuable, right? AI can't do what Kirsten and her staff does. Producing authentic storytelling. Voices belong to people. That pretty much sums it up. And then AI doesn't understand your community, your team does. Every draft needs a human pass. And like I said, it can't fix the site. It can maybe audit and tell you some things, but it can't actually do the fixes. I would not let AI do the fixes. I would have a human do that. 76% of you still don't have an AI strategy or a policy. I would get one. And I would not have AI write it. I would actually research that. All right, so now I'm like right at time. I promised I'd share the checklist. I've already gone through all of these. Clarify, reduce friction, build trust, improve accessibility, test, measure, repeat. Pick one metric, make things easy. And that's it.
What's your favorite metric?
Besides customer effort score,
Okay, so that's your favorite one.
That is yeah, that's my favorite one because everything we do at Elevation is built around ease. Everything that the biggest, like Amazon, love them or hate them, right? They build all of their flows around ease.
Mm,
I read a book called Influence, and now I'm not going to remember the author's name. It's Zoe something. I'm not doing her justice. It was a fantastic book, but she is the one that introduced the Domino's thing to me and customer effort score to me. And like NPS score, it's like a
mm,
measure of like overall impression of your brand. Effort score is narrow focused on a single interaction. And that's
mhm,
better because we can improve single interactions. It's like in measurable ways. It's much, much harder to improve the overall impression of your brand. It's too complex. There's a lot that goes into that.
mm.
So I really love the customer effort score.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just found that book, Influence Your Superpower.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Zoe.
Read it, read it, read it. So good. And the way
Influence Your
she makes
Superpower.
that Domino's story come alive. That's where the case study comes from.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. All right. Let's see. So we are at time, and we put Erin's email address in the chat. So feel free to reach out directly if you have questions for her, if you'd like to work with Elevation. So give us the 2-second rundown, Erin, on what you all do, how you help organizations.
Yeah, so the core thing we do is website redesigns for nonprofits.
Okay.
We do them in WordPress. So if you're on a different platform, we unfortunately can't help, but WordPress is the number one platform for just like ease
Hmm.
and flexibility for nonprofits. So I really do recommend it. And we do marketing strategies. If you need
Hmm.
help with your branding, your logo, your content strategy, your marketing strategy, we also manage Google Ad grants. If you're not
Oh.
getting the free $10,000 a month from Google, you should be. If you're a 501(c)(3) and you're not a school, hospital, or government institution, you need to be getting a $10,000 marketing budget every month. Hello, you need to be getting that. And if you pay a professional agency like ours to manage it, we will max it out every month. We'll get you the 10,000. Um, and we do SEO,
Wow.
GEO, retrofitting your website so that
Yes.
AI answer engines can see it and cite it.
Hmm.
We're very AI forward
Okay.
in a responsible way. We
Hmm.
are embracing it because we want every nonprofit to be a first mover. I mean, we
Mm.
want you to be because you're competing against the for-profit big guns, and
Yes.
um, but we think nonprofits actually have a beautiful carve out. Like we have an advantage because
Mm.
we are passionate, we have
Hmm.
expertise, we have history, we have trust because we are service oriented people and people tend to trust service oriented people more. So nonprofits have an advantage. We can supercharge that advantage for you.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Erin, thank you. This was absolutely incredible. The comments have been fantastic in the chat. I think we're all just a little blown away. And I do want to say, just as a reminder, you're going to get the slides. So go back and look at the quick takeaways that Erin mentioned that are just some easy things that we could implement right away. And gosh, just work on one, right? Just pick one and get
Yeah,
going with it. Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
So thank you all again so much. We had a little change in our July webinar, so we don't actually have our speaker. Well, we've identified, but we have not confirmed with our potential speaker. But I did just want to mention that for those of you who are in Delray Beach, please remember that on Friday, June 12th, we have our day-long seminar with the Delray Chamber, the nonprofit council, and it's the deep dive into board development. I'll be working on board governance, Vicki Pugh and Jackie McLaughlin. So keep that in mind. And we will see you next month on the second Tuesday of July, which is the 14th at 11 a.m. Eastern. We'll see you. And what I'm working on is a finance expert, just to give you a little bit of insight. It should be all about nonprofit finances. So that's our goal for July. Thank you again, Erin, so much. you all please reach out to Elevation Web, reach out to Erin, ask your questions. They are just, I remember when Tanaka met the team and she was like, where have they been all our lives? They are so amazing. Nonprofits need them. So, so thank you again, Erin. Fantastic job. And thank you to the Kannico team for managing the things behind the scene. And of course, if anybody needs anything from us, please reach out. We're always happy to have a conversation and see if we can help you with any of your needs. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next month.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks so
Thank
much,
you.
Erin.